Perils of Kindness and the Wisdom of Stoicism, a deeper dive into balance. Kindness is universally celebrated as a virtue. We are often taught to be kind, to treat others as we wish to be treated, and to give selflessly. Yet, beneath the surface of these noble ideals lies a more complex truth. Excessive kindness, when left unchecked, can lead to emotional exhaustion, loss of identity, and even unintended harm to ourselves and others. In the words of the Stoics, balance is the key to living a virtuous and fulfilling life. As we explore the intricate interplay between kindness and the principles of Stoicism, we begin to uncover a profound truth. To be truly kind, one must first learn to set boundaries and practice self-awareness. This is not to argue against kindness. Far from it. Kindness remains a cornerstone of human connection and societal progress. However, as this discussion will reveal, kindness without boundaries can become a double-edged sword. When we give too much of ourselves, we risk depleting our emotional and physical resources, leaving little left to sustain our well-being. The Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, provide us with tools to navigate these challenges, enabling us to cultivate a kindness that is both genuine and sustainable. In this first section, we will explore the foundational ideas of Stoicism and how they relate to kindness. We will delve into why excessive kindness can be detrimental, drawing from both philosophical principles and modern psychology. By examining the wisdom of thinkers such as Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, we will uncover practical strategies for fostering balance, emotional resilience, and authentic relationships. Why excessive kindness can be dangerous. Kindness, in its purest form, is a selfless act of giving. However, when kindness becomes excessive, it can lead to a range of negative outcomes, both for the giver and the receiver. Here are some of the key dangers of unchecked kindness. Unrealistic expectations. One of the first pitfalls of excessive kindness is the expectation of reciprocity. When we give too much without setting boundaries, we may unconsciously hope for the same level of generosity in return. The Stoics teach us that we should accept things as they are and avoid attaching our happiness to external factors. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Emotional exhaustion. Overextending ourselves for others can lead to burnout. The constant act of putting others first, while neglecting our own needs, drains us emotionally and physically. Seneca warns against this imbalance, emphasizing that we cannot serve others effectively if we neglect our own well-being. Loss of self-worth. Excessive kindness can also diminish our sense of self-worth. When we prioritize others' needs at the expense of our own, we may begin to feel invisible or unimportant. This lack of self-respect can perpetuate a cycle of overgiving as we seek validation through external approval. Dependence and enabling. Constantly helping others can unintentionally create dependence. People may begin to rely on our generosity, avoiding responsibility for their own lives. The Stoics encourage us to live with reason and virtue, which includes fostering independence and responsibility in ourselves and others. Resentment and frustration. When our kindness is taken for granted or unappreciated, it can breed resentment. Over time, this resentment can erode relationships and leave us feeling bitter and unfulfilled. As Epictetus advises, we must focus on what is within our control and release expectations of others' behavior. The Stoic perspective on kindness. The philosophy of Stoicism offers valuable insights into how we can practice kindness without compromising our own well-being. Central to Stoicism is the idea of living in harmony with nature and reason. This involves recognizing what is within our control and acting in alignment with our values. Understanding the nature of relationships. The Stoics understood that relationships are a fundamental part of human life. However, they also emphasized the importance of boundaries and mutual respect. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." This principle encourages us to be compassionate while maintaining our own integrity. Practicing moderation. Moderation is a recurring theme in Stoic philosophy. Seneca's writings often emphasize the importance of balance, whether in emotions, actions, or relationships. By giving in moderation, we can preserve our energy and ensure that our kindness is both meaningful and sustainable. Cultivating emotional resilience. The Stoics believed in the power of emotional resilience. By practicing mindfulness and self-awareness, we can navigate the challenges of kindness without becoming overwhelmed. Epictetus' teachings remind us to keep our will in harmony with what happens, enabling us to maintain inner peace regardless of external circumstances. A modern illustration, the story of Jane. To better understand the dangers of excessive kindness, let us consider the story of Jane, a dedicated nurse who worked tirelessly to care for her patients. Jane was known for her boundless compassion and willingness to go above and beyond for others. She often stayed late to help colleagues, volunteered for extra shifts, and sacrificed her weekends to support community initiatives. At first, Jane's efforts were met with gratitude and admiration. However, over time, her colleagues began to rely on her generosity, frequently asking her to cover for them without reciprocating. Jane's emotional and physical health began to deteriorate as she struggled to keep up with the demands placed upon her. Despite her exhaustion, she felt obligated to continue giving, fearing that saying no would make her seem selfish. Eventually, Jane reached a breaking point. She realized that her excessive kindness was not only harming her own well-being, but also enabling others to avoid their responsibilities. Inspired by the teachings of Stoicism, Jane began to set boundaries and prioritize self-care. She learned to say no when necessary and focused on giving in a way that aligned with her values. As a result, Jane's relationships became more balanced, and she regained her sense of self-worth. The art of setting boundaries. The story of Jane highlights the importance of setting boundaries, a key principle in both Stoicism and modern psychology. Boundaries are not about being selfish. Rather, they are about ensuring that our kindness is effective and sustainable. Here are some practical strategies for setting boundaries. Reflect on your values. Take time to identify what matters most to you. By understanding your priorities, you can align your actions with your values and avoid overextending yourself. Practice assertiveness. Communicate your boundaries clearly and respectfully. Remember, saying no does not make you unkind. It is an act of self-respect and authenticity. Prioritize self-care. Make self-care a non-negotiable part of your routine. As the Stoics remind us, we cannot pour from an empty cup. Seek support. Surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries and support your growth. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and understanding. In conclusion, excessive kindness is not a virtue but a potential vulnerability. By embracing the wisdom of Stoicism, we can cultivate a kindness that is both authentic and sustainable. The principles of balance, self-awareness, and emotional resilience empower us to give generously without losing ourselves in the process. As we continue this exploration, we will delve deeper into the practical applications of these principles and the transformative power of living with purpose and integrity. The practical implications of Stoicism in moderating kindness. As we move deeper into the philosophy of Stoicism and its application to kindness, we begin to see how timeless this wisdom truly is. While the first section of this exploration addressed the dangers of excessive kindness and introduced the foundational principles of Stoicism, this part will expand on actionable insights, compelling examples, and practical advice. The aim is to help you cultivate a life where kindness is balanced with self-respect and personal boundaries, ultimately fostering authentic and fulfilling relationships. Stoicism, as a guiding philosophy, does not teach us to suppress our humanity but to channel it in ways that promote both individual and collective well-being. By learning how to moderate our kindness and set limits, we not only protect ourselves from emotional exhaustion but also ensure that our actions are meaningful and impactful. Let us now explore the strategies and narratives that can illuminate the path toward balanced kindness. Embracing the power of no. One of the most challenging yet liberating lessons in Stoicism is learning to say no when necessary. The fear of rejection or appearing selfish often compels us to agree to requests, even when they strain our resources. However, as Epictetus famously said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." To illustrate this, consider the story of David, a graphic designer who was known for always saying yes to client requests. David would take on additional projects, work weekends, and often sacrifice sleep to meet deadlines. While his clients praised his dedication, David's health and creativity began to suffer. He realized that his inability to set limits was rooted in his fear of losing clients and his desire to be seen as indispensable. Inspired by Stoic teachings, David began to evaluate his priorities. He started setting clear boundaries with his clients, communicating his availability, and managing expectations. By saying no to unreasonable demands, David not only regained control over his time, but also earned the respect of his clients, who appreciated his professionalism and clarity. The lesson here is simple yet profound. Saying no is not an act of unkindness. It is an affirmation of your values and a declaration of self-respect. By setting boundaries, you create space for more meaningful and intentional acts of kindness. Understanding emotional detachment. The Stoics emphasize the importance of emotional detachment, not as a means of suppressing emotions, but as a way of maintaining inner peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This principle is especially relevant when it comes to kindness. Excessive kindness often stems from an emotional attachment to the outcomes of our actions. We may feel responsible for others' happiness or well-being, leading us to overextend ourselves. However, the Stoics remind us that we cannot control how others respond to our kindness. We can only control the intention behind our actions. Take the example of Lisa, a teacher who spent countless hours tutoring struggling students after school. While her efforts were noble, Lisa found herself frustrated when some students showed little appreciation or improvement. This emotional investment in their responses left her feeling disheartened. By embracing the Stoic principle of emotional detachment, Lisa reframed her perspective. She focused on the act of teaching as an expression of her values, rather than tying her satisfaction to the students' reactions. This shift allowed Lisa to continue her work with renewed energy and purpose, free from the burden of unmet expectations. The role of self-care in kindness. A fundamental tenet of Stoicism is the idea that we must care for ourselves before we can care for others. Seneca wrote, "It is part of the cure to wish to be cured." This underscores the importance of self-care as a foundation for meaningful kindness. Consider the story of Emily, a single mother who juggled multiple responsibilities while supporting her community through volunteer work. Despite her best intentions, Emily often found herself overwhelmed and exhausted. Her acts of kindness, though heartfelt, became unsustainable as her own needs went unmet. Realizing the importance of self-care, Emily began to prioritize her physical and emotional well-being. She established routines for exercise, meditation, and personal reflection. By investing in herself, Emily found that she had more energy and clarity to support others effectively. Her example demonstrates that self-care is not selfish. It is a necessary prerequisite for sustainable generosity. Identifying and avoiding energy vampires. Not all relationships are created equal. The Stoics caution us to be discerning in our interactions, advocating for the cultivation of relationships that uplift rather than drain us. Epictetus advised, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." Energy vampires are individuals who consistently drain your emotional and mental resources without offering anything positive in return. These relationships often thrive on imbalance, where one party takes advantage of the other's kindness. To illustrate, let's examine the story of Alex, a software engineer who often found himself emotionally exhausted after interactions with a particular colleague, Mark. Mark frequently sought Alex's help with his workload, rarely acknowledging the effort or offering to reciprocate. Over time, Alex realized that his kindness was enabling Mark's dependency. Guided by Stoic principles, Alex decided to address the issue directly. He set clear boundaries and encouraged Mark to take responsibility for his tasks. While this initially strained their relationship, it ultimately led to a healthier dynamic. Alex's story highlights the importance of recognizing and addressing energy-draining relationships to protect your well-being. The middle ground, balancing generosity and self-respect. Stoicism advocates for balance in all aspects of life, including kindness. Excessive giving can lead to burnout, while withholding kindness entirely can isolate us from others. The middle ground lies in practicing thoughtful generosity, where acts of kindness are intentional and aligned with our values. For instance, consider the case of Sarah, a social worker who found herself torn between her professional responsibilities and her personal life. By applying Stoic principles, Sarah learned to allocate her time and energy more effectively. She set limits on her work hours, allowing her to engage meaningfully with her family and friends. This balance enabled Sarah to maintain her passion for her work while nurturing her personal relationships. Practical strategies for balanced kindness. To integrate Stoic wisdom into your daily life, consider the following strategies. Reflect on your intentions. Before engaging in an act of kindness, ask yourself whether it aligns with your values and priorities. This reflection ensures that your actions are intentional and meaningful. Set clear boundaries. Communicate your limits with clarity and confidence. Boundaries protect your well-being and foster healthier relationships. Practice gratitude. Cultivate an attitude of gratitude for the opportunity to give, rather than focusing on the outcomes. This shift in perspective reinforces the intrinsic value of kindness. Prioritize self-care. Make time for activities that replenish your energy and nurture your spirit. Self-care enhances your capacity to give effectively. Evaluate your relationships. Regularly assess the dynamics of your relationships. Invest in connections that uplift you and address imbalances when they arise. Narratives from Stoic history. The lives of Stoic philosophers offer valuable lessons on balanced kindness. For example, Marcus Aurelius, as a Roman emperor, faced immense pressure to prioritize the needs of the empire over his own. Despite this, he maintained a disciplined approach to self-care and personal reflection, enabling him to lead with wisdom and compassion. Similarly, Seneca, as an advisor to Nero, navigated the complexities of power dynamics by practicing moderation and self-awareness. His writings emphasize the importance of aligning actions with values, even in challenging circumstances. In conclusion, Stoicism provides a robust framework for navigating the complexities of kindness. By embracing principles such as emotional detachment, self-care, and discernment, we can cultivate a balanced approach to generosity that enriches our lives and those of others. As we continue to explore these ideas, let us remember that true kindness begins with a deep respect for ourselves and a commitment to living in harmony with our values. The transformative power of Stoicism, bringing it all together. As we reach the final section of our exploration into Stoicism and its relationship to kindness, we find ourselves at the heart of this philosophy's most transformative lessons. While Stoicism provides us with tools to temper excessive kindness and avoid emotional burnout, its ultimate goal is not merely to protect us from harm. Instead, it offers a path towards self-mastery, authenticity, and the kind of balanced kindness that uplifts both ourselves and others. The Stoics believed that true happiness lies in living in harmony with nature and reason. This harmony requires that we understand and embrace the dual responsibilities of caring for ourselves and contributing to the well-being of those around us. As we conclude, we will explore the deeper implications of Stoic kindness, recount practical stories and examples, and distill actionable wisdom that you can integrate into your daily life. Kindness as a reflection of virtue. In Stoicism, kindness is not just an act. It is a reflection of virtue. To the Stoics, virtues such as wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice form the foundation of a good life. Kindness is deeply intertwined with these virtues, as it requires wisdom to discern when and how to help others, courage to set boundaries when needed, temperance to avoid excess, and justice to ensure fairness and equity in our actions. To illustrate, let us consider the story of Anthony, a manager at a nonprofit organization. Anthony was known for his dedication to his team and the community he served. However, his tendency to take on too many responsibilities began to impact his health and effectiveness. Inspired by Stoic teachings, Anthony started practicing virtue-driven kindness. He prioritized acts of kindness that aligned with the organization's mission and his personal values, while delegating tasks and empowering his team. This approach not only improved Anthony's well-being, but also strengthened his team's cohesion and effectiveness. The lesson here is clear. When kindness is guided by virtue, it becomes a force for sustainable good. It empowers us to act with purpose and integrity, creating ripple effects that benefit everyone involved. Stories of resilience and boundaries. The stories of historical and modern Stoics remind us that boundaries are not barriers to kindness but enablers of it. Consider the example of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who famously balanced his immense responsibilities with personal reflection and self-care. Despite the demands of ruling an empire, Marcus made time to journal his thoughts, meditate on Stoic principles, and care for his physical and emotional health. His resilience and ability to set boundaries allowed him to lead with compassion and clarity. In a contemporary context, we might look at Sophia, a young entrepreneur who built a successful business while navigating personal challenges. Sophia's natural inclination to help others initially led her to take on too many commitments, from mentoring aspiring entrepreneurs to volunteering in her community. However, as her workload increased, she realized that her unbounded generosity was unsustainable. By adopting Stoic practices, Sophia learned to balance her commitments. She set clear priorities, limited the number of men she could support, and focused on quality over quantity in her volunteer work. This shift not only allowed Sophia to maintain her well-being, but also ensured that her efforts had a meaningful impact. These stories highlight a powerful truth. Resilience and boundaries are essential for effective kindness. They enable us to give from a place of strength rather than depletion, ensuring that our actions are both impactful and sustainable. Practical lessons for modern life. To fully embrace the transformative power of Stoicism, we must translate its principles into daily practices. Here are some practical lessons that can guide your journey. Prioritize what truly matters. The Stoics emphasize the importance of focusing on what is within our control. By identifying your core values and aligning your actions with them, you can ensure that your kindness is intentional and meaningful. Cultivate inner peace. Practices such as meditation, journaling, and mindfulness can help you develop emotional resilience. These habits enable you to approach acts of kindness with clarity and purpose, free from the weight of unrealistic expectations. Balance giving and receiving. True kindness is a two-way street. While it is noble to give, it is equally important to allow others to support and care for you. This balance fosters mutual respect and strengthens relationships. Learn to say no with grace. Setting boundaries is not about rejecting others, but about protecting your ability to give effectively. Practice saying no in a way that is respectful and clear, ensuring that your boundaries are understood and honored. Reflect on your actions. Regularly evaluate the impact of your kindness. Are your actions uplifting and sustainable? Are they aligned with your values? This reflection will help you refine your approach and maintain a sense of purpose. The ripple effect of balanced kindness. When kindness is practiced with balance and integrity, its impact extends far beyond the immediate recipients. Consider the story of Daniel, a community leader who prioritized thoughtful and intentional acts of kindness. By mentoring young professionals, organizing community events, and supporting local initiatives, Daniel inspired others to follow his example. His balanced approach ensured that he could sustain his efforts over time, creating a ripple effect that transformed his community. The ripple effect of kindness is a testament to its transformative power. When we act with wisdom and intention, our kindness inspires others to do the same, creating a positive cycle that uplifts entire communities. Conclusion: the legacy of Stoic kindness. As we conclude this exploration, let us reflect on the enduring wisdom of Stoicism and its relevance to our modern lives. The Stoics remind us that kindness is not merely an act but a way of being. It is a reflection of our values, a testament to our humanity, and a pathway to fulfillment. By practicing balanced kindness, we honor both ourselves and those we serve. We cultivate relationships built on mutual respect, foster resilience in the face of challenges, and create a legacy of compassion and integrity. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." May the principles of Stoicism guide you toward a life of purpose, balance, and meaningful kindness. And may your actions inspire others to do the same, creating a world where kindness is not only celebrated but truly transformative.